We want people to remember who they are. We want women to really find out who are they before all these things came along.
We hated the word retreat. We don't want to retreat within ourselves. So this is just a time for you to step away and
we put our work inside of money, relationships, our career, our children, our partners. All of our work is placed inside of those, and we find ourselves inside of those things. What happens when we lose them?
I'm excited to be here today chatting to one of my friends again. And now we really want to share with you what we've been working on that just came together on a whim, sitting at the beach, enjoying each other's company and having an amazing conversation. I would like to welcome back to the podcast, Clare Martin. Hello. Welcome back to a Road Less Doubt podcast. I'm excited to be here today chatting to one of my friends again. We chatted to her around 6 weeks ago, and we are back to share something exciting with you that we have been working on. We have alluded to this in the last episode, and now we really want to share with you what we've been working on since, I want to say like March, that just came together on a whim, sitting at the beach, enjoying each other's company and having an amazing conversation. And the reason we wanted to bring this to you in a podcast is because how we have journeyed through what we have in our past and then brought this to life and where we sort of want it to go and how we want to help you do the same thing. So today, I would like to welcome back to the podcast, Clare Martin. And she is coming to us from Bali. So hey, Clare.
Hello, buddy. Welcome to my little villa. It's pouring with rain outside, but that's okay. It's a great day to do a podcast. So I'm excited to be here and chat to you about what we've been conjuring up in the background and why.
Yeah, and we told yesterday, and the villa was beautiful. It was raining yesterday, but it was just so peaceful, and I was like, I want to be there with you. And we've been nutting out a few more things, and we finally had some space to bring it to life. And if I'm being honest, it definitely has not come without its hurdles and its mental roadblocks for me. And so I'll be completely vulnerable there and just be like, fears and stuff have crept in about like, who am I to do this? And I know you've actually had some of the same, but not to the level that I've had. But when I really sit back and go, hold on, what do I love doing? How every time that I have stepped into this space, and I know how I felt when we brought this idea to life, how it felt. And every time we've had a conversation around it since, every single thing just drops into place every time. And I feel like I will go like, of course it is, because your human design is a manifesting generator and you're supposed to spark that fun in me and help me find the joy. And then it does that. And then I sit there and go, oh, have you thought about this? Because I'm all lit up. And you're like, it's funny that you said that, because I was just thinking. And that's how it's rolled. And so I guess what we're going to try and take people through now on this podcast is what we're going to bring to life, hopefully for them, or what we are going to bring to life, but navigating that feeling and how we got to here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if anyone knew the voice notes that we were pinging backwards and forwards to each other last night all around this, like you said, it has been absolutely nerve-wracking for me, and it's still super challenging. And I think that's the beautiful thing about, what we do and what we experience is, and why I get on well with you as a friend is because it's all about being raw, vulnerable and real. And, no one is without their challenges. Nobody. Nobody's immune to their, limiting beliefs or their glass ceilings. And I think, being that manifesting generator and then working with you and understanding a bit more about that now, because you've been working on my charts and telling me, what I respond to and how I work. It's been so nice for us to work creatively together and know how to work together, and also be able to really speak honestly into why this has come around and what we're hoping to guide people through, knowing the challenges we have in our lives. Because I think what we experience on that micro level is exactly what people experience out there as well. You know, it's always the way. We are one with everybody else too.
When starting my journey of self-discovery, I felt alone and lost. That's why I'm so incredibly dedicated to this podcast and passionate about building you a place of community to help you remember exactly who you were before life got in the way. So with that said, word of mouth is one way we can grow this community. So please share this with your friends and family. And so you don't miss an episode, I'd love for you to tap the subscribe button. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah. And I think we very easily, I guess I'm even in a place now with everything that, you know, has sort of gone on with the surgery and just life's things. It's not linear. So it ups and downs all of the time. So things will always be thrown in your way to make you stop and go, I should go back to what's safe, or all of those things. But this is where you've really got to come back to yourself and know who you are, what you love to do, how that feels for you, and that will feel really different for everybody in their body. And enough, you said this to me last night actually, enough love of yourself to keep giving yourself permission to step past that discomfort and know that you've always had your back and that you will always be safe to continue stepping into that. If you truly know it's kind of what you want, because it feels right and aligned in some way. And not to escape things or get away from doing hard work, but because you know that there's something more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so tempting to, you know, I think deep down there's this nudge in everyone's soul, right, of what's out there for me. How could I love more deeply, be in a relationship more deeply, work in more connection with my heart? How could I light my soul up? And I think, you know, we've experienced that loss of self, that disconnection, and not knowing how to connect back to our true self prior, and then being able to utilize these tools and what we've learned to be able to connect back to self. You know, you show me how to connect back to myself through my human design. And likewise, you know, I've worked with you in breathwork, and I've worked with myself in breathwork, and that's been a whole different layer of healing. So these tools have beautifully interwoven for both of us to bring us back to our center, like back to how do I want to do life? And am I in alignment with that, or am I out of alignment with myself? And I think that's such a big thing that we don't often ask ourselves. And we said this last night, right? It's like, we don't ask ourselves these vital questions of what is the fun I want to have? What lights me up? What do I want to do? What do I enjoy? And why do I love that? You know, so that was they were the elements that we were covering. And I think the human design practices and the breathwork and consciousness practices that we've managed to intertwine have helped us to unveil that and discover it even more and get clarity, get direction.
Yeah, and make it maybe a little less scary to start to step into that as well. I think for people, like when you have that feeling that you want to do more or change something and you don't know where to look, you're forever searching. Sometimes you're forever searching outside of you to make you happy. And we talked about this again. It was, you know, even though we knew we needed to do the self-work, it was like, where am I unhappy in my house? Where am I unhappy in my relationship? What could they be doing to fulfill me? You start on a track. Let's say you get into a relationship or a friendship, or you become a mum, in my situation, like whatever it is. You were a certain person and you still are that person to your core. But as you go along in life, life starts to change you, you grow. But the things around you may not necessarily keep you happy or on task, and you do all of your shoulds. And one of my friends said to me yesterday, stop shoulding all over yourself. And I was like, yeah, I love that saying so much. And it's not about going to, you know, I guess I want to put out there, and so I was saying to you, like, I talk about finding me, and it's not from a selfish place. It's about actually being able to bring the best of you back to everybody you love and care about. And I want people to know that that's actually the thing, because what I've seen, especially with my kids, the more I fill me up, the more they're seeing that, and I'm giving them that permission as well. But as you start to go along and forget a bit because life's got in the way, you've worked, you've started raising kids, you're starting to help your husband with his purpose, or your partner, or whatever it is. But you've learned things, life, age, just things do change. And if you don't start asking yourself the questions like you said, you get off track and you don't even know where to start to find that again. So how can you then communicate that with those people you love the most? Because I know in my salon, I have these conversations with women, and they're like, oh, what are you going to do today? What do you enjoy doing? I don't know. My husband didn't think of me today. Okay, but does he know how to? Do you know what you need to do him to do? Or do you sometimes just jump in and fix it because it's easier now than having the hard conversation because you're tired, because you've depleted everything in you, and now you expect, it just becomes this resentment. And I guess why I'm saying all of that, sorry, in a really, really waffled out version, is that what we're trying to bring is you to have that space to bring yourself out of an environment, because everything is energy, where you can come away and go, I know that there's more, and we want to be able to help you just find that, remember what it is, connect, because you're so good and you're going to have so much better words for this, but really connect back to you, be around other people, and just remember who you are, so you can come back and bring that back and help everyone else know who you are again, so you can charge forward.
100%. And there's so much gold in what you just said. And, I think with this and, relating back to my past experiences, is that I had lost connection with who I was. And so I was getting lost on my path. I was going off course. And I was going off course in my marriage. I was trying to find, like you said, things outside of me to validate my worth, to feel good enough, to feel like I'm a loving person or I'm in a great relationship. And, we look for things outside of us to find that security and that validation of who we are. And the problem with that is when that's all stripped away, and if we put all our work inside of those things, if we put our work inside of money, relationships, our career, our children, our partners, whatever it might be, if all of our work is placed inside of those and we find ourselves inside of those things, what happens when we lose them? Who are we? Who are we when we're left bare, raw? And I think that for us was the real clincher, was we want women to really find out who are they before all these things came along. And, also those internal things that we have where, we have those past pains, and maybe we've built barriers around us to protect ourselves from experiencing that pain and hurt again. And, we've got this almost like this force field around us. We go too far in one direction and then bang, we hit that boundary of like, I can't go there. I went there last time and I got hurt. And then we go to fire another piece of energy off and bang, we hit that boundary. And slowly what I find is as we get older, our worlds become smaller and we take less chance, less risk. We just think, well, this is the way it is. Or this is the way the relationship's going to be. Or this is all I can expect out of life. Or this is this is the amount of happiness I can have. That's it. There's a ceiling on it. And for me, it was since doing this work and really unearthing and really connecting back to myself and discovering who I am, and not in a selfish way, in a way that means I can go past these limitations within myself. Well, then we reach a whole nother level of intimacy in our relationships with ourselves. And because we do love and nourish ourselves in that way, we can self-express and speak authentically and truthfully to others, to our female friends, to our partners, to our bosses, whoever it might, and to ourselves, right? Of like, I do want more and there is more. and not to have that limitation, right? Not to be putting these boundaries on ourselves. That means we can't have that, because we absolutely can. And I think that's what we're discovering now, is having connected back in, we're seeing how much more our worlds are expanding and opening and being able to deliver these beautiful things back to us. It doesn't come without its challenges. It doesn't mean it's easy, but we know the tools to use and we can see the patterns. And I think that's another thing, right? Just seeing the patterns, the loops.
Hey guys, if this episode resonated with you, please take a screenshot and share it to your Instagram stories and tag myself at A Road Less Doubtful. And if you're ready to lean into the parts of you that have been hidden away and start your road to less doubt and have way more fun, I'd love for you to join our community of like-minded women who build each other up inside our free Facebook group. Tap the link in the show notes below, and I can't wait to see you on the inside and travel this journey together. Yeah. And I think the other thing with that is I alluded to it before, like it's not linear, and we've done these things to start, like we've tested ourselves with it. So sometimes without having any tools, and that's okay, because that's still built self-trust, right? And that's helped us along the way anyway. But you found what's worked for you, and I've found what works for me with human design, and integrating them has been lovely. And maybe they won't be the be all and end all for everybody, and then other people will find their things along the way. And sometimes it's just taking what you need at certain parts. But I know by like using the human design, it just gave me something to give me a little bit of comfort. And then I got to play with, if I just respond and I have a bit of fun for me, okay, this is how it feels. And I know that like then led into, even for example, network marketing. I was like, that's fun. How do I do that? And then I looked at that as part of my human design. How would I do this for me? Not like everybody else. And I never thought I would do network marketing. But again, it was like that was leading me to the next thing, because I just trusted my gut. And then, that led to you and I having different conversations. It led me to actually doing the podcast, because I learned to show up online. And all of these things, the old me, and the voice still came up. The voice definitely still came up, and it still does. But I can quieten it a lot quicker. And so, the old me was like, you don't know how you're getting from A to Z, so you don't start, and you stay and you do the same thing you've always done. Whereas this me, because I've started to play with it, and I truly believe I've always been stuck a lot more in my masculine, and only started to, learn and play more with that masculine and feminine polarity because I've really felt that I had to. And that goes back a really long way. And I want to strip that down. But being a mum and having to support and provide and then step into my business, because that's how I do it, it takes a lot. It can take a lot. And so then I've taken those moments and started to find where I don't have to stay in that space and where it serves me more. And I think this is also another thing that you and I want to talk about more. So where I was going with that is like by learning to play with and just be a little bit more creative in the way I'm learning to work and doing it from a fun place and just a trusting or a little bit more intuitive or however you want to word that. It took me and you from this like network marketing, then noticing that, like all of these women actually can be there to support you and nourish you. And it's not in this, we're against you type version. You see more of that. So you're like, it changes your perspective on things. You get more ideas. You grow in different areas. That brought the podcast along. Okay, what does that feel like? You and I form even a deeper friendship because we're like, we can do that together and you light me up in that. Okay, that's fun. Let's have a chat. That chat leans to, let's have a look at this new venture. And it's all come from like, it's not push. There's no push. There's no, there's not that masculine energy in it. And it just feels so fun. And it's such a nice balance now. And I'm having fun playing in this space.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like, we forget to play and we forget to tap into that joy. Like you said, that we should be able to, I think, the real peak point here is our feminine power. And femininity is is slightly chaotic and a bit all over the place. It's emotion, it's feeling, it's nourishing, it's intuition, and it's creation. That's the feminine essence. And what I was absolutely in, and you said you too, and I know we're both like this, is we've been in our masculine energy. And in my past self and relationships, that's then gone through into other areas of my life, that doing, not the being of the feminine energy. And, in that as well, that caused a repelling in my relationships. So I found that, my marriage was actually breaking down because I was in this place of doing. I had to feel like I had to step in and take control because I didn't really trust myself or know myself and know my path. And so much of what you just said there is that it's really leaning into, I trust myself, I believe in myself, and I'm going to take this leap. And I don't know how this is going to pan out. I don't even know what little roads and pathways will open up, but they do. When you follow the calling of your heart and your soul and you lean into that feminine intuition, suddenly all these doors open and all of these opportunities present themselves. And you're like, wow, I never knew that could possibly happen. We do this all the time, right? If we sit back and look at our lives now, what's gone? And you were like, well, did you ever expect your life to turn out the way it has? And there's no way I did. There's no way I thought I would be a breathwork facilitator 5 years ago, 2 years ago, or, working with people in consciousness coaching. I thought I had a particular path and that was it. But, the more we lean into this feminine flow, also it allows us to soften and to move into that with other people as well and know that that's okay. And then I think even for me in my relationship, that's meant that my partner can be more in his masculine and I don't feel like I've got to control and come in with this heavy energy in our relationship. And that's shifted that too. So yeah, there's so much in here of what you said, and definitely the joy and the play and the fun. We don't realize that moving into this self-trust and intuition, we do get to have fun. And if we can just let go, and as I say, let go and let God, it's really like that. It's really just letting go and seeing what unfolds. And it makes life so exciting and fun, and having people around you that can support you in that too, and using your tools to do that.
Yeah. And you said something good there. You said like the feminine is supposed to be like chaotic, right? And more emotional. But what's interesting with that is if you give yourself that space to play, and, maybe get some alone time where you just sit, or again, whatever it is for you that allows you to be a bit more creative and not be in that push and that force. So whether it is taking yourself away to do those things you enjoy, for me, paragliding, for me, getting down the beach, putting my feet in the sand, for me, having conversations with different people just brings me alive, because I see myself in them and I feel like they see themselves in me. And that's just, it's an energy exchange and I love it. So you can take that then feminine, that chaotic emotion that can sound very scary to maybe the man in your life or whatever, because you will then, your chaos isn't like chaotic I'm then projecting that on you anymore, because you've like gone and got it out in like play and dance and jumping and music and chats with your friends, and you come back home and you're actually way more emotionally regulated, and the things they're doing, they're not triggering you the same, because they're not supposed to be there for you to dump everything on all of the time. They can't be everything for you. They were never supposed to be. There's supposed to be clarity, like you said, with the intimacy. And so then by you taking yourself away and looking at the parts of you that you can change and grow with, and learn again, like I said, what nourishes you. When you come back, you see the parts of them that then have helped you, why you fell in love, whatever it is, and you're less chaotic and you're less emotional, and they can then respond to that in a totally different way. And I think that's very important too.
Yeah, you're so right. And, it's like knowing that we can't expect one human to hold all of us. We do have our basic needs, and of course we want those met. But one single person can't hold all of you, and neither should you hold all of someone else. And I think this is so important to learn, is that we want interdependence in a relationship. It's like you're an entity, your partner's an entity, and your relationship's another entity. And you want to be able to, again, what I find is a lot of women, and I know you have too, is that women feel guilty for following some of their needs outside of the relationship, for nourishing themselves, for finding their joy with their friends, for going and have a conversation and go, I'm going to talk to my girlfriends about this and then my partner about this. And not one person can meet all of that for you, and neither should they. But when you can meet yourself and say, I know when I need to step in for me, and I know when I can chat to a friend, and I know when I can go to a partner because I understand myself so deeply that, like you say, this allows the relationship to have its own interdependence. And to really, something that comes up a lot is women feeling guilty and shame for wanting to have something different outside of their marriages, outside of being a mum. They want to go and follow their joy, but maybe they get so caught up in the story of, I'm too busy being a mum, or I'm too busy being a business owner or a worker. And we limit the ability to go out and enjoy ourselves. And then that comes out as resentment on our partners. We resent them because we're not choosing to go and have the fun. And maybe they're going out and they're doing things, or maybe you see friends that aren't working all the time and they're going and holidaying places and enjoying their life. And so many people say to me, oh, you're so lucky you're going to Bali, but this is by design. This was me really getting to lean into my edges and find out where, I've kept myself stuck, and where I can give myself permission to go and find my fun and my joy and never feel bad for it. I know that my partner is cheerleading me in the background going, go do it, have a great time. And I would for him, because we're in a secure place within ourselves where we can, that's an allowing. It's just like, no problem. So, there is a lot of people that have so much guilt, I did, about putting myself first. So not in a selfish way, in a way that when we do nourish ourselves, we can give so much more to our work, our jobs, our kids, our partners, our friends, when we take care of the self. Whatever we do on a micro level ripples out. And what you were saying about your kids watching you as a mum, it's hard for you. I remember you saying last night how difficult it was for you to go and be doing these things because it feels selfish. And this is what we've been conditioned to believe, is that by following our heart, it's selfish. But from my perspective, and now I know you from yours, you see this, I'm showing my children that loving yourself is absolutely okay and is in fact beautiful. And when you do, you have more capacity for others as well.
Yeah, and I never want them to think that they have to sacrifice themselves, in any capacity. So I need to not do that either. And again, it always comes back to intention, and in a relationship or whatever, it takes commitment, but you need that commitment to yourself too. And like I say, it's not about taking all of this time away all of the time. You can find these tiny windows of time in micro moments as well. But if you don't know what it is you need, you can't even take those micro moments. And I guess that's really what we're trying to bring for you, right? So do you want to, because I feel like we've talked about all this, I think we should at least tell them what we're bringing them and explain to them why we think it's a bit different. I think you should unveil it because you are there. You're in Bali.
Well, I think the whole sort of epitome of all of this conversation was remembering who you are. And I know when we sat on that beach, going backwards and forwards with all these concepts and talking about what we've just said in this podcast, we were like, we want people to remember who they are, to come back to that. And we were like, okay, so we're going to provide an opportunity where women can come together and they can remember. And we've decided to call this gathering of women over 6 days and to come together, and we've called it the Remembering. And it is this beautiful space which brings in the tools that we have learned. It's using the blueprints that we've gone through, that we love to share and we have joy in sharing, to gather together people and for them to remember who they are before all of the imprints, the boundaries, the wounds, all of that blocked you from stepping into really going and connecting back to self, back to your heart, back to your joy, And we're so excited to do this. And the more we talk about it, the more we've been designing it, it's like it's got everything in it, right? It's got all the elements. And so I'll let you say about all the elements that we sort of decided on, and these beautiful words that we were discussing as well that really helped us to bring this to light.
And I think what's really fun is that it's literally a perfect mesh of both you and I. And because you and I have both talked to similar people, maybe have slightly similar audiences, but different in a way, it's like this perfect mesh of your background and what you needed for you, and my background and what I needed for me, and coming from like my experience and then what helped me, and delivering it my way, a little bit more like rough and tumble almost. I guess is how I feel about it. Just a little bit more messy, but fun. And you're of just this, this is how I see it, more just calm and nurturing and safe. And I feel like those two things need to come together. And the reason we called it the remembering is because we were having this conversation and we both hated, and that's a strong word, but we hated the word retreat. It was like, we don't want to retreat within ourselves. So we just took that out altogether. So this is just a time for you to step away and remember. And the words we've come up with, like I said, was a mesh of the both of us. And so for me, I wanted wonder. I wanted childlike wonder and curiosity. Maybe we should have put curiosity in there. God, I love that word. Wonder and joy and adventure. I wanted some adventure because to me, adventure, and that is my generator energy, manifesting generator energy. And look, if you decide to come along to this remembering, what we want to do, and again, what I think we're going to be delivering that is different, is that we will be doing a questionnaire. We want to get to know you before you come along, so that when we're delivering to you your human design, when we're delivering to you the breath work, we are literally delivering it so that you are getting out what you need from it, based on your design, based on what you need. So, sometimes you might hear these words. So like I said, there's wonder, there's direction, there's clarity. What have I left out? What words have I left out? Connection. Connection. You might hear those words, and for me, I'm going to cling on to wonder and adventure. For Claire, she's going to cling on to like connection and direction. The next person listening to this podcast, I know straight away one of those words will connect with you more than another. And that's the whole point, because you might come in on day one of this remembering and go, oh, I just want to feel childlike wonder again because I don't know what I enjoy anymore. And that's fantastic. And then you will have filled out this questionnaire and you'll have listed off some of these questions that this is where you're lacking. This is where you don't know where to get your clarity. That was one of the words. And we can help you start to navigate that with what we put in place. And that's going to get you started, right? Then through the tools that we're offering and that we are going to take you through each day, you're going to notice that shifts are going to start. And so what you thought was wonder, that next day is going to be like, oh, hold on. Now I know what I like. I need a little bit of clarity. And then, Claire's I'm going to tell you a part of your chart of like, maybe that's why you couldn't see that. This is where you're designed and maybe where you've been conditioned. And Claire's going to step in and take you through a breath work that unlocks that and helps you break that down. So that's how we've fundamentally designed this. But what we also want, and now I'm taking the space, sorry, Claire, because I'm getting excited. What we also know is that by bringing women together, we know that it's scary because sometimes it's scary to step away from your life for a little while and step in with other women and be worried about judgment, that you're not good enough to do it, that you won't know how to, you don't know what's going to come up. Can you take the time? Are you selfish? All of those things. And so we want you to know that it's such a safe space because we know that we're going to learn from you and you're going to learn from us, but we also know you're going to help teach the other women that are there, because our whole thing, just like this podcast is about, just like conversations in salon, the same as Claire has conversations with all of her coaching, it is literally about having those connections. And by doing that, something else triggers in that next person. And those people don't come together by accident. So we need to know that it all happens for a reason.
Hello, it's Emily here. You guys may have heard me talk about human design, and will continue to do so throughout my podcast because it's helped me to expand my life using it as a tool along my journey. If you would like to take your first step on a road to less doubt, then download your own free personalized human design chart by clicking on the link in the show notes. Then, as you follow along on socials or the podcast, you'll be able to integrate this and gain more clarity of who you are and remember who you came here to be. Lastly, I'd love for you to join our community of like-minded women inside our free Facebook group. All links are in the show notes. All right, back to the episode.
Yeah, so I think there's this beautiful thing that takes place when a group of women come together, and this is what I've loved. I think it's what I've loved most about doing group coaching and what I've experienced in that container is that once we get vulnerable, we actually start to see that we are just reflections of each other. We are mirroring each other and we're fragments of each other. And there's something so reassuring and nourishing about that. And I know that when these women come together in this gathering and come together with the remembering, they're definitely going to leave with lifelong friends and people that they get to connect with. And I think definitely we need to build this effect of more community and more collaboration and joining together in person, right? It's not just through a screen. It's really nice for people to come together and share these, I guess, like these more intimate experiences and these emotions and going, oh, wow, I feel that too. I recognize that emotion and I understand that and I see it in you and I see you in me. So that's going to be so powerful to do that for starters. And that's why specifically in this remembering, we've got the most beautiful surroundings. We've got complete private villas where we're going to have our own contained area with all these beautiful little villas that you can stay in our own little mini village. And also, I know your words, Em, were sort of wonder, and, you know, really, really leaning into that wonder. And for the direction and connection, I mean, there's definitely the connection with the other people, the women that you're going to actually meet and make friends with. There's that connection back to self. There's us connecting with you as the space holders and your champions. You know, we're going to be championing women on to really, really discover more of who they are. So there's so much connection happening and these great bonds being built between people. And with the direction for me, with the breathwork side, you know, I've just found that breathwork is a tool to get a direct experience of healing and transformation. And it's something that you can do yourself. It's something that you can take yourself through. So I'm so passionate about teaching that to the women that attend this event, to taking them through very specific guided practices that are really going to open up so much inside. It's going to dissolve those blocks. It's going to really connect you into what is your true joy, back to the inner child. We're going to be doing all of this work through this portal, if you like, of breathwork. For those that don't know what it is, breathwork is very different to meditation. We are going into what's called a non-ordinary state of consciousness, so don't be scared. It's fine. But I've been trauma informed as well, so that means I do have the ability to really guide people safely through the breathwork practice. And there's so much healing and transformation that can happen when it's carefully conducted. And the program that we've put together is really going to titrate that process and take you through step by step, and then also teach you techniques that you can go home with, because this isn't, like you said, the point of difference here is we've got the pre-work that we're going to be doing with our lovely people coming along. We've got the in-space workshops and things that we'll be holding, space that we'll be holding there, and activations. And then there's even like the post-care and making sure you're okay once you integrate back into life and not feeling like, you know, this is just a bubble that you go in for a few days and then you're thrown back into reality and you don't know what to do. this is about holding your hand through the whole process, and you having a group of women that when you leave with them. So that's really going to give you the direction going forward, the clarity of how you're going to leave this container and how that's going to impact your life on so many levels, and start to create real change. Like absolutely go back into your life and go, I'm not the person that I came in as. And when I leave here, I know what to do to take my life forward, which is, it's great having these things to do and going on to these things, but often we can slip back into our old ways. And so I think making sure that our clients have things to take away. And I know we've got some incredible things designed to give them. I know what you've got planned to give your ladies on the human design front, and the same for me. You're going to have these things to take away that we're going to gift you, as well as having these beautiful experiences in amongst this gathering and this container that are really going to make it special and design you to, recreate and re-architect your life and really start living it from your heart, because that is what we truly want people to experience, this heart-life connection, this breaking of the loops, the breaking of the habits. And I think what we'll be bringing in here is some circuit breakers of where have I been looping around in behaviors that aren't serving me? How am I bringing conscious awareness to that, which we're going to help people with? Recognizing their gifts, their unique gifts, recognizing their joy and why and what they want to do and how they can do it. And then, breaking those habits and those cycles that have kept us stuck. And I think that's so important going into 2024 is let's start this new year with this beautiful coming together and gathering and remembering who we are in this lovely location, being in an island off of Bali, so not on mainland Bali, but it's in Lembongan, which is just so beautiful. It's not like crazy, busy, hectic. It's just such a peaceful place to be, which is why I love coming here, because it really allows you the silence and space to connect back to you. And I know with you, I know that you love the adventure side. So I'm going to let you tell the guys what we've got planned with them for that adventure side as well, because the fun is absolutely going to be there as well.
I think I just want to touch on a few things you said as well, because for me, it's very easy to, I think things don't come into your awareness unless they're supposed to. So maybe you've been looking at breathwork and you just explained a little bit about what it was. Same with human design. Maybe you've touched on it. Maybe you've seen me talk about it. Maybe you followed other people and they've talked about it. Because I know for me with breathwork, it was sort of just there, but it kept like, oh, there it is again. Oh, there it is again. What is it? I don't fully understand it. So really quickly, human design is what I just like to say, it's a tool. And I did my coaching with Emma Dunwoody, and I did it really personalized. I did one-on-one and I did intensive, and it was incredible. And it was different to just looking at things online, because it gave me a little bit more security in what I was looking at was for me, so that I could go and, like she likes to say, it's an experiment. You still have to step into it and you still have to do the things for you. It's not like you can just take this and be like, I'm fixed and off you go. It's more about, like you said, it's integrating, and it's like starting to create, and the word you used was architect, be the architect of your life. And I think that's actually really, really beautiful. And one of my sayings is like, be your own GPS, or you are your own GPS, right? So human design is like a blueprint for that. You can get a blueprint for that, which is what I intend to give you on the remembering, so that you can just start to play with those things. You get to take that home alongside Claire's, alongside your breath work, and reflect back at it. So you don't have to remember it all, the whole time, but then you might pull out other parts, and you can dive a little bit deeper. You can send me a message and say, hey, I was looking at this. This seemed relevant for me, and it will be. That's what happens with it. It's like what is supposed to be relevant for you is the part you start to read and you start to bring in. So I think I just wanted to touch on that. Basically, human design is like astrology and I Ching and Kabbalah, kind of all rolled into one, but it just shows you who you are kind of at your fundamental, with your, like where you can be conditioned, where you maybe hold stronger to your conditioning and where you're open to others. And that can help you start to really navigate back to who you are, and where you're not being in alignment, which it just makes it a lot more simpler to sort of start navigating and redirecting. So I just wanted to touch on on that really, really quickly. But as for the adventure side of things, I've done this before and I absolutely loved it. And there's something with nature, there's something with water. And so we're going to put in a manta ray swim as well. And these creatures are huge. Now, the last time I did it in Bali. And you hop into water with these creatures, and there's something really magical about it because they're huge. So they're intimidating, and there is a little bit of fear in it until you get in the water. And I can't wait to do it again. I don't think it matters how many times you do it, right? Because nature, when we swam with the whales, remember, like when you came up here and you swam with the whales and they were just there, it's like they look into your damn soul and you can't unfeel that for ages. And we want you to experience that. So when you hop in the water and these creatures, it's like they glow and you're like looking inside them and they're massive and yet they are gentle, and it just makes you realize, I don't know, I can't even fully explain it, but that's what we put in for you sort of for the adventure side. There is a few other little bits and pieces that we've put in there, but we were also very conscious that if in your life you're always really busy anyway, that we wanted to give you space. So in this, there's moments where you might just want to chat to someone else. We're going to bring along some tarot cards. Maybe you're going to want to just do some tarot. Maybe some of you have thought you have a bit of intuition and you're going to want to do tarot with the new friends you made. Maybe you're just going to want to go for a chat with them and sit with them because you need that space. Maybe you're going to want to go and talk to Claire about what came out that day, or maybe you're going to want to come and chat to me about some part of your chart that really resonated or something that you're lost with. And we want to be able to offer you that time and space too. So that was really important for us to put in, that it's not like do, because again, then we're back in that doing energy instead of just enjoying. So yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add with that, Claire, that I have missed or that you think it's super imperative that they know?
No, so I think really it's just that we're having it over Easter, so it should mean that people don't have to take too much out of their annual leave. And we really as far as like all the inclusions go, what we'll say in this, because for ease and people can find out more later, is that really we want to take care of you. When you step off the plane, we want you to just let go and not worry about things. So we've got so many things taken care of in the whole process. And it's definitely going to be a place where you can just get off that plane, exhale, breathe, and we've taken care of everything for you. Because I think that was something that it makes something really special, is that you don't have to think and you don't have to worry. So yeah, really that's it. I'm just super excited and so looking forward to sharing this time. And yeah, that's all we're going to add for now.
Perfect. Do you want to let them know that there is some offers in place or anything like that?
Yeah, so we have got an early bird price. So we will be doing an early bird before the end of January. And that is if you jump on board, you can have a very hefty discount. So we'd really like to offer that out for those that are interested. And just if it feels right, if you're tapped into your heart and you want to jump in, then to absolutely jump in and go, do you know what, this feels good for me, and you want some expansion and transformation, then 100% we'll have that offer up as well, that you'll be able to fully check out before the end of January.
Amazing. I guess the way I sort of look at it as well is we want to be able to bring you all of these amazing things that we've talked about. We want to have fun and form some new friendships with some of you guys. We want to learn alongside you, but we want to give you some things to come home with. But look at it as like giving yourself just that little bit of space and a bit of a holiday, like Claire said, where you don't have to do anything, but you're actually getting to take something home. You know, sometimes I know, just thinking about that now, you go on a holiday and you come home sometimes a little bit more overwhelmed than when you left, because you had all of the things to think about to get there, all of the things to put into place, and all of the things that the people you had to take care of. And then you had to come back and you had to undo everything as well. With this, and, you know, giving yourself that time or that investment, you get to go. We take care of you. You take care of yourself. There's nothing really for you to think about apart from popping a few bits and pieces in your bag for you. And then you get to come home and actually just feel more alive and excited and invigorated again without having to go, and more overwhelmed. So I guess that's all I would say. So with that, Thank you, Claire, for coming and chatting to us today. You can go now and enjoy Bali a little bit more. I know you're there for a few more days. We will put all of the notes, all the show notes and the links below. So if you want to check out any information to do with the retreat, if you want to find Claire, her notes will be there below as well. If you want to find your human design chart, it will be down there as well. So you can play with all of those bits, or if you want to send either of us just a message, we are so completely open to you guys just sending us a message and having a chat and asking questions because we are just as human as you. So have a really good day and we'll chat to you guys next time. Thank you so much, Claire. It was so great to chat to you as always. Bye.